Welcome to Exploring the Ozarks, where we learn what defines the culture of the Ozarks one person, place, and story at a time. We're here with Matt Graham and David Carr at Studio One. Join us as we explore the story of today's guest. Here's Matt.
Oh yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Exploring the Ozarks. I am your host, Matt Graham. My co-host and producer is off camera today because our van bench seat's not big enough to hold everybody. But just know that David is off in the corner.
I'm over here in the corner.
At least we have a mic for him to be able to say something. But no, this isn't from the Loser Cruiser from what we just found out about your brother's seat. Is that
my
brother's van?
Yeah.
You got to have a buddy that's got one of those. So I'm sure you had lots of friends. But today we've got some really cool guests. And I always say that I'm excited, but our guests just, honestly, every week they get better and better and better. So you might see a familiar face here on the van bench seat, which you probably thought you'd ever hear that come out of anybody's mouth. But today we have Jackie Stiles, local Springfieldian, that's done a lot of great things for the area. Thanks for being here, Jackie. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. And then we also have a lifetime friend of mine, who's gone out to do some very big and tremendous things to help people, Mr. Jason Edwards. Thanks for being here, Jason.
Thanks so much, Matt. Great to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. And I know people mostly know who Jackie Stiles is, right? But what does Jason Edwards do?
Oh, he just saves lives.
Yeah.
All. You know,
Every once in a
I don't
while.
deserve to be sitting in the seat by him, but yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, he is.
I'm a radiation oncologist, and I'm part of a team of people who work
that's
to help
it?
patients, with
He went the
cancer.
team route. That's good.
So, yeah.
You're humble too, right?
Yeah, very.
Jackie taught me that.
Well, Jason's always been blessed to be that guy that people always love, but he's always had that touch with people as well. One of my most fond memories, I don't know if you ever think about this much, but one of my fondest memories was backroading with you. And me being a pastor, we really had this heart-to-heart when we were driving around. Everybody else was at a party, I think, or something, and we ended up just having this moment of we went to go drive around, and we ended up on this back road over between Nixa and Ozark, and we ended up praying with each other and blessing each other. Really, it was a great moment. Still gives me chills thinking about it, Jason. So it's something I've always thought about very fondly of. So I feel like you have been blessed, and I've been blessed ever since then. So, but that's one of those things that's just kind of one of those organic things that happens in life that it really touched me. And now that I see what you're doing with people, I know definitely God's got his hand on you, buddy. So,
Man, you know what? It's been a long time, and I was wondering if you remembered that.
Oh,
because that was like,
yeah.
it was kind of a crazy time, and it was a really kind of like special.
Peaceful moment too. Every time I see a red 4-door Grand Am, I think of that, but no, I think about it often. I was actually just driving that back road randomly the other day from one of my rental houses that's over in that area, and I drove that back road, and it just all came back to me, So that was 2 days ago. So it stuck with me a while. But what brings you two together is pretty special in my mind as well, that you were able to work with each other. But we're not here to talk about MSU basketball or your Missouri Sports Hall of Fame or your scoring records or the philanthropy that you do. But we will get into some of that because I still have to remind some people. Maybe
My interest is piqued.
Yeah, right? So Jackie, what was your all-time scoring leading record there at MSU?
Oh gosh, I don't even know.
You don't even know anymore?
No, I never focused on records or points. It was all about the team winning. I'm just super competitive, and I just wanted to do whatever it took to help the team win and be successful. And what made my experience here so special was the people. I mean, it was incredible. It's embarrassing saying this, but a movie came out about my life a couple years ago. And I hadn't seen a lot of those clips because, I'm ancient. There was no cell phones when I was in college. So,
Thank God,
video, yeah, I know. The video wasn't like it is, and so I hadn't seen a lot of that stuff. And I've watched the movie several times just because I had to go to different premieres. And every time I've watched it, it's made me emotional just because of all those incredible people that came together that helped me live out my basketball dreams that wouldn't have been possible without those amazing people, and seeing the fans and the support. It drove me to be better because I wanted to make them proud.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool, because that was just this, that was like a time in MSU basketball that I don't think there's been anything like it really since then. Honestly, there hasn't been anything like that since then in Missouri State. A lot of potential there, but to see the fans come out to every one of those games, and I went to a few of those games, and that place was rocking. I mean, I miss those days. But it was because you girls were so fun to watch, though, too. I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't just you, because you're an amazing athlete, but there was a lot of amazing athletes on that team that, probably have all dispersed in life and are all probably doing great things now. And I would assume it probably comes back to your experience at MSU.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We actually had I'm dating myself now, but a 20-year reunion a few years back of that Final Four team. And all of us girls decided to go to Asheville, North Carolina and, rent a home and get together for a few days. And, we hadn't been together for 20 years. And
Wow.
it was like we didn't miss a beat. I mean, we all got along so great, had so much fun. It was like we spent every day together for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But that just reminded me of what made our team so special. I mean, we just played for each other. We were able to give up our own individual glory for the good of the team. And we were able to beat such, way more talented teams than us. I mean, we beat a team like Duke that everybody on that team was an All-American, but it didn't matter because of how hard we worked and how much we believed in each other and, just sacrificed for each other. And just our chemistry was incredible. And I was reminded of that, just at our reunion because we had such a great time.
Oh, I'm sure that was great. I mean, that's a rare opportunity to be able to do that, and everybody's still around after 20 years, and you can find them and be with them. But I really feel like you all were a catalyst for women's sports in general. I mean, after watching you go to do what you guys did at the NCAA tournament and all that, and watching your scoring record and all that, I feel like, especially in this area or the Midwest, it was a huge catalyst for girls to do more and be more in front of cameras, or even at schools. We were just talking about at Nixa that we had a phenomenal group of girls that were our high school athletes, and a lot of them went on to play college ball, but they won two state championships. I want to say
at least one.
At least one, but I know that they all, played ball at Mizzou and things like that afterwards. But I don't feel like I'm not going to say that they may have not have done that had you all not done what you did. But I feel like you guys were a huge catalyst for the girls in this area. So I would say thank you for that, because I feel like sports in general was better after you ladies did what you did. So
well, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know if we,
I noticed
deserve
it.
credit, but thank you so much. But no, I realized I was so selfishly focused the first half of my career, and I got up every day, and all I thought about was how can I be the best basketball player I could become. And
awesome.
Now for me, it's more about significance over success. How can I align my gifts to help the most amount of people? So during that selfish time, to hear that, I still did impact and help people, that makes me feel good for sure.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about that. So since then, let's do a real quick recap of what you've done, because you do a lot with charitable organizations. You still do basketball camps, I assume, and things like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Tell
I
us a
do.
little bit about the nonprofits you support.
All right. Well, so right now what I'm currently doing, and I like to jump off cliffs, and I guess that's the one blessing, being diagnosed with cancer. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but it has made me better. And if I'm not aligned with my core values, I quickly make a change. And I got out of college coaching a few years ago after my, Hall of Fame head coach retires at Oklahoma, and I'm now in the process of selling 3 homes in 2.5 years. And I was just tired of, moving, and, the way college athletics has changed with the rules and different things. It just didn't, align with my why anymore. And so fitness has been a huge part of my life. And so I jumped off a cliff and said, you know what, I'm going to own my own business. Had no experience, doing that. But one thing I'll tell people is you're never going to know enough or be ready before. Just you learn by doing.
Absolutely.
You learn by getting reps.
Just
and
trial by fire.
Don't be scared. Just go for it. And when you make a mistake, just change, learn from it, and then move on. But yeah, I opened my personal training business. We just passed our year anniversary here in Springfield, because I love fitness and I love to help people through fitness. And I thought, why not come to Springfield, where this community has given me so much? So I feel so blessed to be able to do that and give back to the community in that way. But the one good thing about, I guess, COVID, it took longer for my business to open. And I always say when, things are tough, I always say this is happening for me and not to me. I try to look at it that way.
Yeah.
And because it was taking so long for my business to open, I needed some income. So I started running basketball camps. And my first summer, I ran 22. This past summer, I ran 35, and now I'm set to run over 40
Wow.
And so then I hired a manager to run my gym, but I still live in it when I'm off the road. And so now I get the best of both worlds. I get to impact in basketball the way I want to, and then I still get to call myself a professional athlete because I work out off and on all day and get paid for it. So yeah,
which is the definition of it, essentially.
Yes.
So what's the name of your company then?
So we're called Next Gen Fitness. And
Next Gen Fitness.
It's actually a franchise. I was always intimidated by just an open canvas, and I needed some structure, and they really aligned with my values and how I like to train and work out. So it's been really good. I've learned so much in a year. I always think if you're not growing, you're dying, and I always like to throw myself in the fire.
Right.
Even though I kind of overcommit and overstress myself out sometimes, I would much rather be that way than, not doing enough.
Yes.
So,
Always going.
Yes,
and that's what everybody always says about me is my energy level, and I'm never stopping. And you're probably a lot like that, but it's nice that you probably went in with the franchise mentality because you almost have a little bit of a roadmap instead of having to go out there and learn from all the little trials and tribulations that happen to business owners and hope to turn a profit the first year. That's always the hard part. So I've seen the signs. Where's it located?
So we're on East Sunshine in the Southern Hills Shopping Center, and they're going through a bunch of renovations, but it's looking beautiful. Now, it's a little tough, opening your first business when you don't have a sign, but, we've survived.
And COVID first.
And COVID, you name it.
And then a full remodel of the entire place.
Hey, if it was easy, everybody do it.
That's
so
for sure.
you got to expect it to be hard and just handle it. I've tried to do better at not getting so high and, to let my emotions stay more level because I'm like, I am not going to survive if I get this worked up over every little problem.
I think that's a good lesson for everybody, though, because and I've briefly mentioned a little bit to Jason about my thoughts on this because the reason you guys are here today isn't because of sports. It's not because of being a student athlete or anything after that. You were diagnosed with cancer, correct?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what type of cancer.
So I was diagnosed in 2018. It was a rare cancer. It's called ocular melanoma. It's a 6 in a million cancer. Wow. And you know how sometimes, when you go to the doctor, you think it maybe could be serious. Well, I'm, just having issues catching the basketball in practice. I'm coaching at the time.
And that's never happened for sure.
I'm like, why am I having to focus so hard to catch? I'm like, I think I need to get my eyes checked just because I had LASIK eye surgery in like 2003. And I'd always heard that a lot of times you have to have a touch up, after 10 years or so. And so we're in the middle of season. It's December, and it gives me chills now thinking about this. But I was like, okay, if I get in on a Wednesday, because that's our day off, so I call a course on Monday, and I think if I get this eye doctor on Wednesday, I'll go. But if not, I'm going to wait a year because I didn't get vision coverage.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I'll wait a year. I just had renewed my insurance and stuff. And so I call, and literally they had a cancellation right before I called. Okay. And they slid me in, and then, I think I'm just going to get contacts or a LASIK touch-up. And then 2 hours later, they're like, we can't correct your left eye. And then they had me see another specialist the next day here in Springfield at Maddox New Prater.
Yes, they're great over there.
Oh, great.
Yes.
And here they're running all these tests. I'm like, I don't have insurance.
Right. And you don't know why they're running them either.
No,
I've been there for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I did.
And you're
I've never heard
sure.
I've never heard of eye cancer. And so.
No one has. I've never heard of ocular cancer by any means.
Yeah. So then they're like, well, we found a mass behind your eye. And I'm still thinking, this can't be serious,
Right.
And so then I end up, I have 2 siblings that are surgeons. I'm really proud of my family. I'm an underachiever of the family. They're saving lives.
Yeah.
I'm a personal trainer and basketball coach. But anyway, so
you're Jackie Stiles. It's okay.
So I told him my sister's like, well, it could be one of 2 things. Probably a benign mass. I mean, there's no way it could be ocular melanoma. That's so rare, and. So then the next day, the doctor's like, well, I've never diagnosed this. I studied about it 20 years ago. I'm pretty sure it's ocular melanoma, but I'm not going to tell you what the treatment's like. He's like, there's Dr. Brad Smith in St. Louis. Okay. He's a specialist, and I got sent there, and that's where I got hooked up with this incredible
And you
man.
ran into him
there.
Yes.
Okay. So
that's where I was wondering, how did this happen?
Talk
Small
about
world.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated with the medical world. I live it through my siblings. I'm always asking them like all these different.
That's awesome. You
questions.
have siblings that are surgeons.
I know, and they show me all these crazy pictures. My sister removed a 70-pound tumor, and
holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean it's wild. I love all that stuff. But I actually when they put a plaque on the tumor. And the first surgery I was out, it was a lot longer, and I'm pretty sure he was involved. I don't know. I guess you were in that surgery.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, he makes the dimensions of the plaque and all this stuff. Like, I mean, he's really good at math, I guess. So I don't know how. The only math I can do.
He was known for being pretty smart. Yeah.
My physicist actually did most of the math. I just kind of like look over it.
Oh, you have a physicist that does the math.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Seriously.
All right.
Yeah.
Makes you look good, though.
Yeah. Shout out Abel Che.
There you go. Yeah.
No, but like I can only keep score. That's the only math I can do. But anyway, so then when they take the plaque out, I was there for 6 days with this plaque, this radiation. I could only have 30 minutes of visitors, but I said, will you take pictures? Because they had me awake. I couldn't feel anything, but I could talk. They're probably like, oh, let's put some tape over that mouth. Because I was like, will you take pictures?
Yeah.
And so they did.
Document it.
Yeah. And then it actually made the movie. My eyeball made the big screen, but but it's fascinating. Like, you would think if you have eye cancer, the eye's being removed.
Yes, absolutely.
But how unfortunate that would be for me because of my active lifestyle, and here my tumor is on the optic nerve, and they actually cut out a notch to not radiate right on the optic nerve to save some of my vision. And where I went to Philly for a second opinion because my uncle is an eye surgeon as well.
Wow.
But not the same specialty. I've learned
good
that
guy
there's
to know, though.
Yeah.
In a situation like this.
And he went to Notre Dame, and he actually was in college the same time Dr. Shields was in Philadelphia, and she's one of the most known ocular melanoma doctors. But I went there, and I just felt like I was a number, like I was just, and they weren't going to bill my insurance, and then they were going to radiate my optic nerve. Oof. It was just one size fits all.
Wow.
And I was like, no.
That's not good enough.
No,
yeah.
I said, I'd rather just, pay out of pocket, whatever, and go back to St. Louis.
And you already felt good about St. Louis
at
that point.
Yeah, I did. But, my uncle encouraged me. He's like, just do it. Go, see what she has to say. She's, treated the most cases. That's all she treats. That's all she does.
Okay.
And I just knew. I was like, no, I don't care. I want to go back to St. Louis. These guys were amazing.
Well, so how many people are on your team then, Jason?
So,
because where do you operate first of all?
So
you're out of SLU?
I'm at St. Luke's Hospital, which is in like suburban St. Louis and Chesterfield. And so for our whole department, most of our patients are treated with external radiations where they lay on a table on a big machine, like treats them with x-rays, high energy x-rays to treat tumors. But this is kind of a weird subset of radiation oncology called brachytherapy, and it's when you use like small seeds of different elements. So this is iridium-125, and you put them in like a plaque, and then you put them on the eye.
So the plaque you said was more like a gel, is that right? Or
the seeds go in the gel.
Okay.
So you order the seeds and you calculate.
Unreal.
Isn't this fascinating?
It's like normal to him.
No,
I love it.
Each seed has its own specific activity and energy
and function
that it's letting off. And you put them in a certain array, and they decay over time. So you like have to use them that day.
Okay.
Like you order them to be used on that day. And so,
so it was,
really? Yeah. So sometimes, depending on what it is, you can wait a day.
Right.
But the NRC, the National Regulatory Commission, they don't let you can't write the prescription. It can't be plus or minus 10%. And so it degrades over that time. And so you have to use like specifically for that day.
I wouldn't think that with anything that's radiation driven at all, though.
Yeah, it has some of the elements have a half-life, and so
and it's very extremely fast.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so we use this brachytherapy. Actually, Christian Sikorsky, a neurosurgeon, and I were the first to use it for brain tumors in St. Louis, in the St. Louis area.
Wow.
But we use them for gyne cancers too, cervical cancer and endometrial cancer, and then the ocular melanoma, which is super rare, but we treat a lot of it. And so it's not uncommon for us to get patients from other states that come in and for the treatment.
Okay.
And to be honest, like I'm on the ocular melanoma team, my main job is to explain the disease process to the patient because my physicist, Abel Chang, does all the mathematics and I just check off on it. And then Brad Smith, the surgeon, him and I are in the OR together, but he's the one who places it on the tumor.
Okay.
And then it stays there for 6 days and then comes out. And then that's it. That's the treatment.
So after 6 days, you go back in, they have to go back in and take it off.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of the treatment, I would suppose.
That's it.
It's
already treated, and the tumor shrinks down, over the next several months, and the likelihood of, the cure rate in the eye is very high. It's over 90%.
Right, because your eye naturally is one of the fastest healing parts of the body, correct?
That and this brachytherapy is an extremely effective treatment for cancer, but you can only do it with certain cancers.
Wow.
Now, the tricky thing with ocular melanoma is, even though we almost always cure the cancer in the eye, the probability of the cancer cells getting into the bloodstream and spreading to another part of the body is high with ocular melanoma. And once it spreads, it's very aggressive and it's not curable.
Wow.
And so the only good thing.
So that's a very important 6 days.
Yeah. No, it is. And I mean, it's kind of like my personal life. It's like kind of an all or nothing cancer. It's
right.
Like, I live a high quality life. One shot, done. But then if it comes back, it's there's really nothing they can do.
So 6 days is the only treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
They've done clinical trials to see, can they give immunotherapy or chemotherapy afterwards? And it really hasn't, once this kind of cancer gets into the bloodstream and spreads, it's just super aggressive.
Well, I'm glad you know that, though, going into it.
Now, the only good thing about an aggressive cancer is they typically metastasize quickly. Right. And then if you get a few years out and you have no evidence of metastasis, then you have a good chance that it's over with.
Full remission.
Nothing's ever 100%, but you have a high probability of not dealing with it again. But, Jackie talked about, first of all, she was an awesome patient. And I wasn't surprised at all. The best patients I've ever had, mentally.
Yeah.
And that's one of the only variables you can control as a patient.
Right.
Is how you're thinking, and obviously the quality of your life has to do with the quality of your mindset.
Absolutely.
And when I think of a handful of patients who've done extremely well, they've all been either coaches or athletes.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Because in sports, you deal with adversity all the time.
It's every second. Yes.
And so an uphill battle, no problem.
Right.
And so
adversity, let's go. Yeah.
Exactly. and so.
Which you have to have that mentality in any cancer treatment, I think, because it's usually a super long road, though. 6 days seems unnormal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it is like 6 days now. I didn't feel the greatest, and
I was going to say,
of course, I think there's no way, because you're not allowed out of the room, and I'm thinking, there's no way I can go 6 days in this room without working out. I don't miss a workout ever. Like, if somebody asks, did you work out? I said, did you eat? Did you breathe? I mean, it's that critical.
So were you doing stuff in the room, in your hospital room?
So my mom was mortified because I brought my bike trainer and my bike into my treatment room.
Nice.
And to the point where people, the doctors and nurses were coming by my room. I was like an animal in a suit. Does this girl really have her exercise
Check it out. Look what she's doing.
Yep.
This isn't usual. Yeah.
And then, of course, somebody else set it up for me. And, of course, the first day I get on, I come crashing off of it. Everybody runs into my room. I'm fine. I'm fine. So, but, yeah, no, I was just so fortunate to have the team I had, and Dr. Smith and Dr. Edwards. I mean, incredible. And so I'm one of the known people with this cancer. So I get a lot of people reach out to me from all over the country.
Good.
And I send them all here.
Good.
I'm like, yeah, you can go other places, but just trust me, they are the best. And I've had so many people that I've sent just so happy.
That's awesome.
Because they're incredible.
That's a good segue. We're going to take a break real quick, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about some of this stuff, because I feel like this is something that desperately needs to be said to everybody else. So we'll be right back. You guys can check out a couple commercials from our sponsors, and we'll be right back in a few minutes. All right, we're back, and hope you enjoyed the videos. And we're here with Jackie Stiles and Jason Edwards. We were just starting to talk a little bit about your journey with this, and the 6 days of treatment, and the type of treatment, and even just how you ended up with Jason. I think is one of the coolest stories, because Jason, how long have you been an oncologist?
So I did 5 years of residency in radiation oncology, and then this is my 7th year out of residency. So I guess I'm 12 years.
Did you just want to cure cancer? Because I could see you being that guy.
Believe it or not, it was the athletics. A lot of times, you found yourself, you would have teammates who are injured, and you're coaching them up, saying, come on, man, or people who are just not dedicated. And I found myself kind of being able to push them and encourage them. And I would say what I do on a daily basis is not a lot different.
Right.
And it's just kind of giving people real hope if hope exists,
right.
To say, hey, like you can do this.
Right.
And there's so much value in having just hope alone. Actually, Viktor Frankl talked a lot about it in his book, Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes, great
about
book.
the Holocaust. It's a hard read, but but hope alone gets people through tough times. And the two things we care about as far as patients with cancer are their length of life and their quality of life.
Right.
And if they're always worried about things, their quality of life's horrible,
right.
and you only have one life to live. And so it's better to get their mind oriented to say, hey, have some hope that this is going to work out.
Right.
Are there any guarantees? No,
right.
not false hope. We never want that.
Right. Realistic hope.
But to say have some hope. It's a better way to live. And
how do you do that though? I mean, that's interesting to me, because I would imagine I would be hopeless. At first, at least. I'm sure there's a little bit of hopelessness that sets in right as soon as you hear that diagnosis.
Yeah.
Some people use it as a tool to make sure that they're not hopeless, which is, I'm assuming that's probably where you were, but you probably had a little bit of that too, right? I mean, right off the bat, when you hear that, I mean...
Fear, yes.
Yeah.
And I tried not to Google it and look at the numbers and just,
Is that the first piece of advice you give, is stay off Google?
It's so hard to find out accurate information about your specific cancer and your specific stage and your treatment. And it's so nuanced that you're almost always going to find wrong information. And,
yes.
And then there's some nuance about like Jackie. She's a professional athlete, NBA Rookie of the Year, excellent cardiovascular system. So are her side effects going to be the same as me or you? No,
right.
Her blood flow is excellent. Her body's able to tolerate a stronger treatment.
Right.
And so it's good to talk to patients about that and say, yeah, like this is working against you, but you got to zoom out a little bit and say, but you have some things working for you too. Now, Jackie, she's so used to adversity through sports, through injuries and stuff like that, that she's developed so much resilience that, I mean, I know life's not totally easy and there's still scares, but right. I mean, compared to the average person, you've suffered in the past,
right.
and that suffering has made you grow. And,
right.
and you're talking about your business, like the Dostoevsky says, like, earn your suffering. Like, you realize suffering's good for you. It doesn't always feel good, but that's where the pain and then the reflection and then the growth comes that makes you a better person. And a lot of times it's talking about that with patients and saying, the worst things in our life typically make us better and stronger. And it's not that this isn't horrible, because it is, but you can extract the good out of it. And so you should.
That's awesome.
And,
wow.
so a lot of it's just getting somebody's perspective right. And, I think JFK Jr. said this, but somebody probably said it before him, but nothing's ever as good or as bad as you think it's going to be. Whether it's in business or your health, your mind, you have this recency bias where your mind tends to really run with something. And it's good to have, tell somebody, hey, I've been down this road thousands of times.
Yeah.
You got to trust me here.
Right.
Things are going to calm down. But when you first get that diagnosis, for the first week or two, it's a rough go.
Oh.
It's not, if somebody was in prison, it would be like horrible the first night. But by 3 weeks in, they're just eating a sandwich and doing whatever people do in prison.
It's a little better.
But I mean, people adapt. They can adapt to anything.
Yes, that's what's good about the human race, is that we do tend to adapt. And like you said, though, I mean, having things that happen to you in life, you never know, once you survive that moment, then you start really reflecting on, I mean, at least I do. I know after we lost our son, and we were up at St. Louis Children's Hospital, and it's funny you mentioned marathon, because the St. Louis Marathon was going on when we were saying goodbye to our son, actually. And so I really love the St. Louis Marathon whenever they have it. But those moments make you want to help people more, I feel like, afterwards. And you get to do it every day. I mean, I say get to. I mean, you see a lot of bad too, right? But for you to be able to talk to someone and bring them back down to earth and say, hey, things can get better. Your mindset is everything when you're in that, though, too, because your body responds to this stuff as well. I mean, your body responds positively or negatively. I've noticed that over my life, too. When I try to breathe positivity into people, because I've seen what negativity can do. And it can rampage people. It can be very destructive, but positivity can be very, it can lift people up. It can build things. I always tell people it can either destroy or it can build up. One of the two. It just depends on your mindset. So,
and just like, you're the MVP of the basketball team, but you realize like you're a part of a greater, network of people, and you're consequential, and your attitude has a ripple effect, whether it's good or bad. Yeah. And a bad attitude typically spreads faster than a good attitude. And you've seen that coaching,
right,
for sure.
Right. And they both stick out just as evenly to people too.
Yeah.
And they'll feed off either one of them.
And so like, I think like negativity and nihilism, to be like, oh, what the hell does any of it matter? Those two things are horrible. And if you get enough people in an organization or in a family, who have that, it becomes total chaos. And so you have to realize like it matters. You matter. You're like your life, you're connected to others. Even if you're the patient, you keep your chin up. Your family needs you to do that.
Yeah. Other patients need you too.
For sure.
I mean, I noticed that too was whenever we were in the NICU with my son, I noticed all of the cribs that were empty or had not empty. They were full, but there weren't any parents around. There wasn't a family atmosphere with some of those where you're just like, gosh, I just want to go stand by that kid. So there's at least some type of energy with that person while they're there going through that. How have you carried that forward in that aspect?
Yeah, well, I mean, you touched on so many great things, but one of the best things that's helped me through difficult times is actually turning my focus off myself and lifting others.
That's awesome. That's
it just does. It actually, you think you're helping somebody else, but you actually get lifted by putting your focus on helping other people. And, you can either let the adversity destroy you, or you can let it drive you to be better. And
absolutely.
You just have to choose the positive and find the meaning or find something meaningful from it. And I think one big thing is having a reason, bigger than yourself. And I look back and I'm grateful for every adversity I've been through because of what the Lord has, done in me and what He's shown me that I'm capable of. And I got to tell a quick story about the Relay for Life. So I got diagnosed in 2018 and I went through treatment in February 2018. And then shortly after that, I got asked to be the honorary chair for the Relay for Life. And, if people don't know, you walk laps and you raise money. And so the event was actually in June. And I would run a few miles here and there, but I've had 19 total surgeries now. And so I'm pretty beat up, from my basketball career. And so
running is rough now.
So I always try to do like non-impact, whether it was, biking or elliptical. And, I always told people I'd never run a marathon. I did, dabble in some half marathons for a while, but I just knew my body couldn't take that
It's
pounding.
tough on anybody, even with a healthy set of knees on you.
Exactly. And so the day before the event, I had this idea. I was like, I wonder if anyone's ever run the laps before. So I asked them, is there any way I could run the laps? And they're like, well, we haven't had anyone do that for a long time, but it shouldn't be a problem. And so I was like, okay, what if I could get 10 people to donate $10, per lap? And maybe I could raise some substantial money. Yeah. And I'm obsessed with the number 10. That's my basketball number, so everything's 10. But I never grow up.
That's an obsession, too, after your life like that.
Yeah. So it's like 3 o'clock in June, here. It's like 100 degrees.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and
you just signed up to run laps.
Yeah, I was just going to run laps, So I start running, and now the crowd and the people there, they realize what I'm doing. Like, every lap I run, the more money I make. And so I kind of felt like Rocky, and I know the younger generation's like, Rocky, who?
Yeah.
So, it, like these kids would take turns running these laps with me. And
cool.
And my dad all of a sudden is like, you could wring my clothes out. My dad's trying to get me to stop. I'm like, no, Dad, I got to keep going till the event ends. And so I end up running over 100 laps. It equaled 30 plus miles.
Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
If you told me to do that tomorrow for 10, there's no way I could do it. But,
oh my God!
But that is coming together for a cause bigger than yourself. Like I saw people that had lost loved ones, you know, caregivers, people that were, being treated and struggling, through their
at the event too.
At the event,
and all the stories that they bring up during that event.
Oh yeah, and like telling.
So that was your motivation to just keep going.
Just keep going, and like that's what a cause bigger than yourself can do. I did something that was superhuman that day.
Yeah.
I could never repeat that. But
I don't know. It's not the first time you've done something superhuman. But how many laps did you run?
It was over 100 laps.
100 laps on a regular size track.
Actually, longer than a quarter.
Longer than a quarter.
I was gonna say you're gonna have a left-sided hip injury if you do that.
You just keep going left. Keep leaning. Yeah. Oh my gosh! So how much money is that raised?
$10,000.
$10,000. Good for
awesome.
you. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a hard-earned $10,000
yeah,
for
but,
sure.
And you would think like the next day I would not be able to walk. Like I wouldn't be able to get out of bed, but for whatever reason, I mean, I knew I was where God called me to be, and I was able to do something that I was meant to be able to do that day because of all those incredible people that lifted me up.
And it's not even the money; it's the fact that you probably inspired so many people to do something maybe not similar, but you inspired them in some way to keep doing something. Whether it's they were still fighting something or a family member, maybe they went and motivated somebody after that or something. So I'm sure the ripple effect that you talked about, I'm sure that was a huge ripple effect, because how many people attended that event?
Oh, I mean, there was, I don't know how many for sure, but there's tons of people. Oh, yeah, lots of people. Yeah.
Lots of people. So let's go back to your treatment. So 6 days, what were your side effects like?
The pain medicine I was on, I realized I was kind of maybe allergic to it or something. I was throwing up initially, but then when they switched the pain medicine, I did better, and I was able to get up on my bike.
Okay.
The first couple of days, I just... anything with your head's hard,
especially your eyes, though.
Yeah, and it's obviously shut, and I had a pounding headache that got increasingly worse. As the days went on, and I was so touched by the outpour of support, like through the thousands of cards that were sent to me, the uplifting texts, the financial support, you name it. And I remember being so sick a couple of those days that I was like, I can't even imagine walking across my treatment room. Wow. And my mom would come in for those 30 minutes she allowed to be in there, and she would read me these cards, and it makes me emotional thinking about, because it uplifted me through such a hard time. And so I was like, you know what, I can never pay this back, but I'm bound and determined to pay it forward. And so every time I speak or I do a camp, I challenge everybody to do at least one act of kindness every single day. And it just is something little, whether it's an uplifting text to somebody or even a compliment. I mean, I was reminded of this, like I just got done with a speech in Branson. I was beating myself up. I thought, I didn't present very well. Here I have to go now speak to the American Cancer Society in Dallas. And
while you're down.
Yeah, while I'm down. And that's a harder
audience. Even though
audience.
what you did was just awesome, probably.
No, well, I was like, I'm a terrible, all in my head. Just,
That's the athlete, I think, isn't it?
So get your hair up high in Dallas.
And so, like, I'm on the plane and heading to Dallas to do this speech, and this lady waits for me to get off the plane, and she's like, I just want to let you know, I heard you speak in Branson. Wow. And you are by far my favorite presenter. And there's all these like really famous people. I am not famous. And I was like, really? Me? And I'm just telling you, like, the way that turned, my mentality, and I left that plane with a little bounce in my step and was able to, get up there with my head held high the next day.
Absolutely.
And hopefully help more people, because I was confident in what I was delivering just from that little compliment.
That little thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So just little things, whether it's taking somebody to lunch, it's struggling, or, it doesn't take much time, but the power of it is huge.
Absolutely. Even just one statement, for somebody. I mean, and I think that empathy, I think it's probably born into a lot of people. Like, I think everybody in this room probably has a lot of empathy for people, but those moments where you're put through something like that, it grows, that empathy grows for people so much stronger and so much harder, that I look for opportunities like that. Even as an example, every day when I drop my kids off at school, I tell them, do something nice for somebody today, and I want to hear about it when I get home.
I love that.
And it's always in the back of their minds whenever I get home, and I'm like, hey, first question I ask is, how was your day? And then, did you do something good for anybody today?
Yeah, that's great.
And my daughter's always like, wait, I did. And she'll give me examples. My son's usually watching YouTube, but he can't hear me because he has headphones on. But my daughter goes out of her way to do that now. So I feel like I'm at least doing my part for the next generation to spread that positivity. But, because it sounds like, Jason, you have to do this on a not just daily basis. Multiple times a day, you're having to breathe that into people.
For sure. But you see, like, I see Jackie in clinic. It's great. It's great. It's like the best.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you're in a situation where it kind of, takes it out of you. But in those are the situations, honestly, where you have to pat yourself on the back. So like, I tell patients to do this too, but if I have a tough conversation with somebody and say, I have got to give them bad news or tell them that their life span is going to be very limited.
Man, that's
How do you do that?
God, I know. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, so you're honest.
Yeah.
Okay, you're completely
You know
honest.
you're doing your job as well.
You let them know that you care about them.
Yeah.
And that and it's okay for them to see that it hurts you too.
Okay.
But and then you answer any questions they have or let them know like what that's going to look like,
right,
if they want to go down that road. But when you walk out of the room, you're not going to feel good, even though you did a good job and you've seen other people do it not the right way.
Right.
And
which is important too.
In your training, you see tons of that.
Oh, really?
No.
Well, training, they have to show you don't do it this way, right?
Well, no, there's good and bad in every profession, let me tell you. And he's a great one, but not all of them are like him. So.
Philadelphia.
I actually don't, if like any of my mentors saw this, I'm not talking about my direct mentors.
But in training in school somewhere.
But you see it done in a way that's suboptimal.
Right.
And
suboptimal.
And
I'm going to use that.
And it's important to tell yourself, because you don't feel good, but you did do. That's the hardest part. Coming in and telling Jackie, all your scans look good. You don't have any cancer. You know. I think you're going to live a long and full life.
That's an awesome moment.
Any amateur can do that.
Yeah.
But what really separates you is in those tough situations, being honest, showing compassion. There's always a need internally to want to sugarcoat it just a little bit, and you can't do that. You've got to be just totally honest. But it's important to tell yourself, hey, you did good, even though you don't feel good. You did good. You did it right, and then you got to keep the wheels keep turning. You got to keep going.
Right.
Honestly, I think it's important when you have a hard job, whatever it is, and we all have hard parts of our job,
right?
Is to take pride in that you're the person doing it. I mean, like Goggins says, somebody's got to carry the boats. It's like, well,
man,
it might as well be me.
That's huge, buddy.
And I know you've done
That's
that too.
awesome.
Like if somebody's got to take the last shot, you're like, might as well be me.
Right.
Like,
I'll take it good or bad.
I'm
going to be the hero.
Whether you made it or not.
Yeah.
But if you miss it and you lose the game, like you can handle it better than your teammate.
Right.
And so it's good to.
It's almost as bad as having a bad speech you think you made or something, But and I feel like, with cancer in general, it's so hard to, and I don't want to say what causes cancer, but I do notice things along, my 42 years, and it seems like stress is a huge factor when it comes to the people I know that have had cancer diagnoses, or multiple sometimes, but whenever they get a diagnosis, I start reflecting on what they've been through. And I've noticed that there's kind of this trend, and I'm not going to say that this is what happens or this is the reason, but it seems like stress is one of the biggest producers of cancer that you can ever think about. Environmental stuff, sure, but stress
is a component for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, like if you had to rank them, it would be like stop smoking, eat more fiber, but for sure, like not only to reduce your risk of cancer, but to have the best possible life. Seek peace, man. And whether it's prayer or exercise, I 100% agree with Jackie. Plenty of books will say to really look and delve into your feelings and look into your past. And I've found through real experience the exact opposite's the truth. Look forward, have hope, look outside of yourself, help somebody else. But I was actually lifting the other day. It was in the morning, and I was finishing something called halting conventional deadlifts, which is like a horrible workout. And so
that sounds terrible when you said halting.
Yeah.
You don't want to stop that motion, no.
It's the worst. And I was like on my last set, and I was like looking in the mirror, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in so much pain. And I was like, stop it, man. Stop. Who cares? Who cares?
Got to do it right. It's got to keep going.
Go until the wheels come off.
Yeah.
Kind of like her running. It's like, just go. Stop thinking about yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so seek peace, don't look inward too much, action. If you start to feel depressed or anxiety, you can go as deep as you want to with that, but it's better to write a letter to a friend, look at some beautiful art, listen to music, go for a walk, pray.
Absolutely. Whatever it is that helps you find peace.
But you seek peace no matter what, whether it's for cancer or anything. It's going to make your life better, and the people around you, it's going to make their life better too.
Right. And that's why I choose to, I hike a lot. We get our kids out a lot. I think my kids probably have more miles on their hiking boots than any adults that I know.
It's awesome. It's so good for you.
And it's because we know what it does for you, just getting out and going for a hike. Maybe it's an hour hike. Maybe it's a 6, 7 hour, 8 hour hike.
Yeah. Get some good vitamin D, sunlight.
All that matters.
So good for you.
There's nothing else that matters when you're out there. The phones go away. The YouTube goes away.
The best.
Everything goes away. I put things in perspective for the kids too, about how long things have been here and how many things that tree's been through and all these things. And my kids kind of absorb it at a young age, and that's something I wish I had growing up, but I'm the son of a pastor, so it was always God related and scripture related, which I'm okay with. That's all fine and dandy, but I take it with me to nature. So obviously, working out is your vice. That's like your thing. But do you get outdoors? Do you go hiking? Do you do certain things to help you mentally focus?
Yeah, so absolutely. So since I got out of college coaching, I finally got a new addition to my family, my puppy, Jax Jordan.
Awesome.
And he's a Bernie Doodle. So it just worked out perfect. I got my home, and then I didn't know where my business was going to be, but actually it's 2 miles. And so I'll run him to the gym, and then we run home, and just being outdoors, the fresh air. But I am always a firm believer in movement is medicine.
Absolutely.
Just get up and move.
Motion creates emotion.
Oh, you will feel so much better. And then I remember when I got out of treatment, the very next day, I was with my team at Missouri State coaching. I just jumped right back into it, put my focus on them.
And none of them knew you were going through it?
Oh, no, I have an eye patch, I look like a pirate. But
stay on her right side. No balls being thrown from the other side.
I think it helped me so much. And the one other thing I've learned from all of this is to be present in this moment. Be where your feet are. The only way you're going to make the most of this very moment is to be here. And, a lot of times we might be dwelling about the past or, thinking about the future. And you really don't have anxiety if you're just here living this moment. And that's how you make, the most of it. And so I think I've slowed down enough to know that, hey, this moment is the most important moment right now. So don't forget about everything else, what's important right now, and just being a better listener. Whenever I try to, meet somebody for the first time, or I've been around them a lot, I always try to listen to them like it's the first time I've ever heard them speak. Everybody, whether it's somebody I've known forever, and then if I do say something, is it good? Is it true? Is it useful? And treating people with love and compassion, because every interaction I have, I want people to say they were better because they interacted with me.
That's awesome.
So I've taken all those things from cancer, and trust me, I don't wish it on anyone, but it has made me so much better, other than my pickleball game. My pickleball game struggled with the backhand is real rough, So
that's all right.
Yeah,
you just get fast enough to not need it.
I hope I had to cheat on my driver's license test, but
it's okay. We won't tell anybody.
I was I remember I knew I had to pass a vision test. I'm like, oh shoot, I got 2050. She's putting my information in. I look up. I was like, oh my gosh,
I don't know any of these.
That highlighted line, I can't read it. What am I going to do?
Oh, no.
So I just snapped a quick picture while her head was down. She asked me to read that line, and I got a driver's license. It might be a Kansas one, but it's a driver's license.
That's awesome.
So,
I love it. That's the best way we can end this. But what you said right before that, I think, is super impactful, and it's true. And I hear it a lot more these days about just being present in the moment. We're all planners. We're all worriers about our past or worriers about our future. But being in the moment, especially with those we're with, is something I've always got to work on too. But from what you said, I hope everybody can take a lot away from this. And thank you both for being here. It's been awesome to see you again, Jason. Jackie, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun. I
really appreciate it. Absolutely. We'll have you back hopefully sometime, not another diagnosis, but to have you back to talk about maybe any of your nonprofit work or anything you're wanting to do. We'd be happy to have you guys here and talk about any of it. So.
Oh, we'd love it. Maybe we should go to St. Louis so he doesn't have
Sounds
to
like I need to come follow you around for about a day,
It's always good to be back in Springfield, man.
I bet, man. You're looking for an excuse to get home is what it is. Yeah.
But why are you guys not in my gym yet?
I know.
That's where the next one needs to be. Let's
okay,
go to the gym.
Yes, all right.
Let me see what I can do.
Deal. Let's do it.
Everybody else, go to Next Gen. Where can we find you on socials and all that good stuff?
Just go to JackieStiles.com, and if you contact me on there, and I'm telling you, if I can help anyone, please reach out to me. It goes directly to my email, and I respond to every single email.
Wow.
So give me a day or two, but I want to truly help people because I know so many people sacrifice so I could live out my basketball dreams, and I'm still alive because of this guy.
That's
so if I can help anybody, please reach out to me, JackieStiles.com.
Very cool. And if you want to go work out Next Gen over on Sunshine, Jason Edwards, thank you for taking care of so many people, and especially this one right here because she's doing great things. So everybody else, keep exploring the Ozarks. Thanks again for listening to Exploring the Ozarks. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our social media channels to help us keep exploring the stories of the Ozarks. If you're looking for more ways to support our show, we have sponsorships for businesses and Patreon for individual supporters. Check the links in the description for more details. Thanks for your support, and keep exploring the Ozarks.